Percussion on jazz, sacrilege, exactly. So this is sacrilegious jazz. The question is how to work on that kind of language. And it's weird. You have to sort of, the reason most people don't get very good at this is they don't know the songs, you know. So there's a real high buy-in to working on jazz rhythm, which is you have to know the tunes. And that takes a long time. You have to know the melodies, you have to know the changes, you have to know the scales to play on all that stuff before you can even start working on your phrasing and on your rhythm, which is just kind of, you know, a crazy thing to even think about, because you're literally talking about years of groundwork before you can start working on that cool thing, which is just the language itself, because it's a rhythmic language first and foremost. And there's a sort of preliminary layer to it before you can actually get to the thing I'm talking about. Hey, Bulgaria, how you doing? Which is, you need to learn how to feel 2 and 4, which are called the tension beats of the measure. So like if I put the metronome on here, check this out. The question is like, how do you feel time, right? So if I'm thinking about a song, let's take like the simplest jazz song, like So What, right? And we're gonna call this 2 and 4. 2, 4, 2, 4. And my goal is maybe to take a walk down the street and put that beat on my left foot to where I'm taking like right step, left step, right, or 4, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, boom, boom. Boom, ding, dang, boom, 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 ding, ka. So if I sing the melody, it'd be like bo do 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 ba dee do dee do wham bum bo do ba do do dee bo da. So that's the backbeat, right? Ba do ba do ba bee bo bee bo bum bum. Now there's nothing wrong with playing like that, right? It's like that's actually when you're starting out with jazz, that's the important thing to do in the beginning, because it makes you feel the groove. The metronome now feels like it's the hi-hat, so it's a part of the music, right? So like... And when you're starting out, it's nice to play tunes like that, because you have this counter... it's kind of like playing with a person, right? That's what it feels like. Funky. This is a sewer badger, the amp. So that's good, but the problem is once I get it, let's say to up tempo, right? Let's hear it at like 240 BPM, which is 120. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. You just feel the internal feeling of that. What's happening here, right? It's anxious. Right? Now, that's not a good space to play from. What's happening? 2 and 4 in the measure, people refer to those as tension beats, right? 1 and 3 are resolution beats. Now, when you feel 2 and 4 internally in very fast tempos, they're so dramatic that they're going to make you rush. You're going to play catch up with them, inevitably. Everybody does. It's just exciting, right? You want to save that feeling for the audience. That's what the audience is feeling, right? That awake thing. We want to feel it differently, and that takes discipline and training. We want to feel 1 and 3, or at really fast tempos, 1, right? If I'm playing 300 BPM, like Cherokee. 1, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, bum, 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 dum, 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 dum. It's too intense. So how do I want to feel that tempo? 1, 3, 3, 1, 3. Dum da do dee do. Bam ba be ba do 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 dum ba do be be do 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 da. Bum 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 do 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 ba do da. Bum bum bam do 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 ba bum bum do do din. Do dum. Okay, so that's just like, obviously that's a really fast tempo, that's 300 BPM quarter note. But the idea is teaching ourselves how to actually feel jazz after you know where the backbeat is, after you really understand the groove. The reason people tell you to practice 2 and 4 is to get you to feel the music. But sometimes it's kind of like, you know, the way to get you on a bike is to put those training wheels on, right? Just to not be afraid of it and understand the mechanics and the nature. But there is a point where it's appropriate to take them off. And you don't want to build all of your jazz rhythmic vocabulary with just relying on 2 and 4, because it will make you rush. It'll make you switch tempos. So you want to really understand how to put together the syncopation. It's all about the syncopation over 1 and 3. So take a tune, any tune. Let's take a tune people know, like, I mean, a lot of you guys don't know this. Let's take Summertime. And we're gonna count it like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 1, 3, 1. But it's hard to even think about. 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. Beep ba da be do ba ba. Beep ba dum. Now, jazz time isn't like the thing that makes jazz feel like jazz is the 8th note continuous rhythm on that tempo with the triplet inflection, right? So you don't want to sing it in 8-8, right? 8-8 would feel like this, like 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. That doesn't sound like jazz, right? It's like da da do da do da do da 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 da. It has a triplet inflection, but it's not just that. It has accents, and it sort of moves towards the beats. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. De do de bo de bo de bo do ba 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 de do de do de do. As an improviser, your big job is to improvise the jazz rhythms, the syncopated rhythms that touch those offbeats now and move towards the beats, right? So ba 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 chicka. hand, you can sort of practice the bit buddy do ba 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 buddy do do ba ba. If you ever listen to like New Orleans drumming, like second jazz, think about second line rhythms, like think about like when the Saints, oh when the Saints do 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 do, right, like that, do 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 boom boom boom, that the heart of the jazz beat is having continuous improvised rhythm. It's the opposite of rock, right? Rock is about riffs. And to practice it, you might want to start with like being able to sing a rock beat, right? A rock beat is a repetitive pattern. So if I have this quarter note, boom boom do ga do boo ba do ba ba do do ga do ba do do ba do ba ba do ba do. But jazz is like shoot that ba do ka do ba do ba do ba ba so do ba da ba ba do ba do ba do ba do ba da ba do ba da ba be ba ba do. It's like continuously improvised. You're always syncopating. Syncopation is the point. Now you have to learn how to do that with your right hand, or with, if you're playing a lot of legato, with a combination of that. Think about the drumming aspect of that, right? Like those ups, tap ba ba do 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 da da do do pa 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 do 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 pa pa do 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 pa 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 do do pa 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 do do. Ba 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 do ba 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 do ba 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 do. I'm just playing in G minor. A lot more within the measure. It comes from, let's see, oh, the red Suhr. Yeah, I got the Suhr pickups back in, my favorites, the MLs, all three of them. I got a new loaded pickguard, so way better. Let's see. Hey Danny, please play I Can't Give You Anything But Love. So yeah, let's see. I can't give you anything but love. That's how it goes. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. When the measurement was 1 and 3, it's not gonna swing unless you make it swing, and I think that's kind of like the thing. So much easier to keep time. Just you don't get excited. I think that's like the secret. That's a good phrase. So like, how do you make that go through the I Can't Give You Anything But Love first couple of, you know, harmonic things. So It's again that it's way easier to play this way once you train yourself, like with the 1 and 3 rather than the 2 and 4. That's the idea. Are you able to explain the easiest way to learn chord changes over? Yeah, so that's let's see. Hey David, an eighth note in half the length quarter note comment. That's is common time. There are 4 quarter notes per beat per measure. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, it's like the alternate picking part here. It organizes your strokes to where you can syncopate without thinking about it, but it's not used all the time that way. So you can, I can think about it like 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 ka 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 ka. But you don't really think about what falls where. I mean, it's more about having a sonic representation in your brain of the rhythm. Like the first skill is the singing part, not the playing part. You have to be able to continuously improvise rhythms that are in the style, and you have to listen to the music enough to absorb them, right? The good rhythms, because if not, you're just making up like think about it like this. There are more eighth note rhythms that sound like crap than eighth note rhythms that don't. You can't just go like, even if you feel the right like triplet inflection, can't randomly go like pop pop pop. That doesn't sound like anything, but pop 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 right? It's kind of like about having low and high drums inside that thing. It's creating inner rhythms, like syncopating. You're locked into that eighth note triplety grid. So you can double time. So you gotta be able to sort of imagine continuous rhythms. But even before you double time and do all that weird subdivision stuff, it's just about living in that grid comfortably, right? That's where most of the vocabulary comes from. So I would set the lofty goals aside and just work on, feeling the music in the meat of the music. Let's see. Are you able to explain the easiest way to learn chord changes over jazz music on the guitar? Yeah, I would say knowing modes and scales for most of us is sort of like the initial approach, and it's a very good approach because it's overarching. It's an overarching approach. It's kind of like an overview, but it doesn't give you the meat of the harmonic thing. You got to actually see the changes. So if I go through a tune like All of Me or something, or whatever tune, it doesn't matter. What I need to do is I need to be able to express the entire tune with chords in every area of the guitar. So like all of me would look like all of me, that one. Phone call. So that was like area 1. Area 2 would be like somewhere in here. Area 4. Once you know that, then playing inside each of these areas, you're playing around harmonic centers that are moving, right? So it's like, I'm actually, whatever scale I see, if it's like a C major, I see that C major around that C, and then this 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 C. So it's connected to the harmony. And then the next chord, E7, right? Or F diminished, G sharp diminished. Whenever I see this like A harmonic minor, I see it emerging from these shapes. Everything I'm doing is connected to the harmony. And the harmony is sort of these moving islands, and I learn them in each position on the guitar. And then when I play more stuff that's across, I just maybe see like this C chord. I see how it's working as chords. So I'm always able to express whatever I'm doing harmonically. Yeah, wherever I just see all my scale information nested inside all my chord information. So I'm not like a scale versus chord guy. I'm like both, right? The whole idea is to see the connection. So that's the idea. Bravo, what's the difference between 3/4 and 6/8? Typically, 3/4 is like a waltz rhythm. I mean, you can write 6/8 tunes in 3/4, obviously, but typically it refers to, hey Jim Morrison, I thought you were dead. So 3/4 typically is like a beat with two backbeats, right? That's how you think about it. Like instead of like boom, ka, 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 like a jazz groove, ka, you have boom, backbeat, backbeat, right? Boom, ka, ka, boom, ka, ka, boom, ka, ka, boom, ka, ka. A lot of like jazz waltzes. It's like a one, click, click, a one, click, click. You have a lot of fat. Typically, 6/8 refers to grooves that have a backbeat on 4, like boom, like a shuffle, right? Like a 6/8 shuffle. It's a straighter than the one I sang, right? You have like a purdy shuffle. It's more like subdivided into triplets. That kind of thing, and or you know, a straight on. Right. Let's see. Alive and Well. I know it's on a topic, but Holdsworth Stuff been incorporated. Has Holdsworth Stuff been incorporated into your playing? You know, Holdsworth Stuff is like. Do you ever watch Hot Ones? You know how they have that like whatever like atomic hot sauce. Holdsworth Stuff is like the dishes that I make in music are more like you know, pesto pasta or something. Holdsworth is atomic sauce. You can't introduce a tiny bit of it and then like maintain the flavor of the dish, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? It's kind of like yeah, like it's like once you introduce that level of dissonance to your playing, and you start trying to go back to your vocabulary, it's going to feel very out of place. You know what I mean? Like you've already introduced the most intense levels of dissonance. So for me, what I find is even when I work out like a line or a lick or a harmonic concept that comes from that world, and it's very rhythmically tight and it fits the groove, what happens is it makes the rest of my playing, like the way that I hear music, like sound really weird in comparison in the flow. And for me, that's just a lesson to like, man, it's like there's two options here. You either, well, three options. One of them is really bad. The bad option is like just ignore your judgments about music, like be like whatever. Holdsworth lick back to my playing. Two is don't do it, which is what I typically choose to do. I just don't go there. Or three, check all of your bags at the door, right? So like leave all of your vocabulary behind and draw exclusively from Holdsworth world, which is not something I personally am willing to do. I mean, you know, as much as I like how Alan plays, I like my ideas better. I feel like it's more beyond just, it's just like, it's correct artistically to go with what's in your head, you know, not with, you know, you deciphering the system of your favorite player and then going with what's in their head. Sounds gimmicky if you just play a lick randomly. It's not gimmicky, it's just disconnect. Even if you, like what I'm saying is like, even if you get it, like you're right, gimmicky, but like, even if you get it to a very high level to where you can execute it perfectly and it has that same effect that his lick had on the record. Like you learn Devil Take the hindmost fast lick, you know the connection to G minor, you can shoot it out in time and also have variations on it where it can go different places. You know, it's, at the end of the day, if you're planning to land back into your own playing, The question is like, did it help that, right? Is it helping anything in what you're trying to express? And my answer is like always no. You know, it always makes the rest of the solo worse. Yeah. Let's play some jazz. Questions. Blue Monk, do you like Oz noise music and guitar playing? Yeah, it's okay. When you borrow chords from a parent scale into your soloing on 2-5-1, are you using these in between the 2 and the 5? Between the 2 and the 5? There's nothing between 2. I mean, you can do things instead of things or add things after things. If you're doing something so what I would consider between the 2 and 5 is maybe something pulling to 5. So it wouldn't be like from C major, right? Like let's say I have a 2-5-1 in C, D minor, G7 to that C. Then you would take something maybe like a D7 to pull to the 5 after the 2, like 2. So those are like 2 minor, 2 dominant, right? Like 5-5, and then 5. You could do something like that. So, and particularly take the upper structure of that, meaning F sharp minor 7 flat 5. Why F sharp? Between that and going to that G, right? So that's like, turn off the distortion to where you can hear that voice more clearly. That sounds like that, for instance. So, or you can do like a. That's like an okay sound. I don't really do a lot of that stuff though. When it comes to like diatonic substitutions, it's just about actually changing the chords, right? Like instead of 2, you can play 4, right? That's a pretty basic thing everybody does. So instead of D minor, you're thinking F major 7. Then you can rearrange your voicings to reflect that, right? So F major 7, G7, C. Also play like F major 7 instead of the 5 chord, which would be like more Wes Montgomery like. That's like F major 7 with G in the bass to C. So. That's a nice sound. So that you could do that. Thank you, Aliens Spore Bomb. Glad you like the streams. All right, let's do another. It's 9:50. I'm teaching now. I have a marathon. I'm teaching 10 to 5 p.m. straight. No breaks. Hardcore. Zoom lessons. One after the other. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Please, if you guys want more information, join our Patreon. There's a free tier. You can pay $5 a month for all the tabs in the world. And we got so much instructional material there. It's cool. So yeah, and we have like a whole series on upper structure coming out. I just recorded one on diminished, so that'll be really cool. And yeah, see you soon. Bye bye.